All right, let's ride, everybody. We're starting from Lady Bird Johnson Trailhead. Going with a small group of folks here. We're heading over towards Los Patios. A while back, the city installed some barricades right at the 410 access road. And the design was intended to get people on upright bikes to get off their bikes and walk them across. A couple of years back, a guy on a bike was riding through there, decided he wasn't going to stop for the stop sign, blew right through, and got hit and killed by a car. And unfortunately, with that, this is the city's response. Now, this section of trail, once you get past the barricade, it goes beyond 410, and it goes down to Holbrook Road, and you can take Holbrook Road on out and get to Bamsey, and then from Bamsey, if you have access to the base, you can go through to get to lower Salado Creek. And if not, you have to go the dangerous way, following the 35 access road. They are in the plans of making a connector going through the two. And once that's done, it's going to make for one heck of a trail system. All right, this is heading back up from Los Patios. And I've edited this video to kind of make it a little bit faster than what the actual ride was. I was out for a total of 3 hours and 50 minutes on this particular day, just taking it easy. My endurance rides, I'm never in a hurry, and I stop and talk to people and pet dogs, and just try to enjoy myself while I'm out there. As you're coming through Los Patios, you're going to see these little balusters there. They're there not to interfere with us, but to prevent people in cars from driving on the trail. Los Patios is also a private property, so you cannot park there and then go out on your rides or jogs or whatever. You have to park in a trailhead. And God only knows we've got plenty of these trailheads around here. We are truly blessed to have this system. Now, another thing to keep in mind when you're on these trails, don't go off of them. Try to stay on the designated trails, because a lot of these areas there is private property. You are out there with wild animals. There are snakes out there, to include rattlesnakes and coral snakes. There's deer, there's foxes, there's all kinds of critters out there, and some of them will not take kindly to you invading on their turf. I have to excuse the two white things sticking up. Those are my flags. I'm going to have to figure out something else here with the camera so that they're not sitting there blocking the view. And this is a reminder for trail courtesy. And in here you can see the yellow line that separates the two different lanes. Try to stay on your side of the trail. The rules of the trail are you must stay right except to pass. This area here I'm hanging on to, it's a very dangerous area because it's completely blind. With me sitting so low, I holler out that I'm coming just in case somebody doesn't see me. All right, as I was saying, stay right on the trail except to pass. Common courtesy, when you see people, warn them that you're going to pass them. Unlike this guy, he's scared the heck out of me as he was coming up behind me. But warn people, let them know that you're coming up behind them and that you're passing on their left. And I don't care if it's a bike, if it's somebody walking, somebody rollerblading, whatever. Common courtesy, it goes a long way. And if you're not too stuck on yourself, when you see people, just tell them hi, tell them good morning as you go by. It always hurts to be polite to people, or it never hurts to be polite to people. You never know, you may make their day by doing that. Make this world a better place, just one person at a time. All right, right here to the right where that guy went, that's where I came out from, going to Lady Bird Johnson. But I'm going to continue forward here to go on to the boardwalk. The boardwalk is, as it says, it's made out of wood. It's going across the wetland area. They can't do concrete trails. They can't drive pylons or steel or anything else like that. It's got to be natural according to the laws here. As you see, it makes good use of things going underneath existing roads. And this is a beautiful area. If you're out in the mornings and you look across the wetlands there, you can see some deer out there. Love to hang out. You'll see some turtles. There is a lot to see down here. Now, this sits very, very low, and when it's raining, it will flood. So be careful. The surface of this area is basically the consistency of 60 grit sandpaper. So you're not going to slide out of control. Now, if you do crash, keep in mind you're going to be going down on sandpaper. And you see those little silver things down there on the trail. Those are sheet metal screws holding the decking down. And the guardrails on the side, they're just simple 2x. And, you know, for me on the hand cycle or people on recumbents, that's not a problem. But on a upright bike, if you cut it too sharp, that'll knock you right over. So be wary of where you're at. And again, there is some shade in here. And that's one of the great things about this trail. There's a lot of trees, lots of shade, but there's also areas that the sun's going to bake you alive. With this being wetlands, you're also going to have to look out at mosquitoes. When you're riding, you're going fast enough that the mosquitoes aren't going to bother you, but if you're walking, jogging, be ready to be eaten alive, so have your off ready. Now, they haven't trimmed back in here for a while, so all this brush is coming over the trail and it's throughout the trail area. All right, we are past the boardwalk, and this is a pretty decent little uphill, and it's leading on a straightaway going down power line easement. And you'll see several power line easements along this route, and this is a fantastic use of those easements. You can't build a building, but you put a bike trail in there. You're meeting code with the electric companies, and it's putting it to good use. And this is an area, it's hot right here. The sun's beating down on you, and we're heading up towards McAllister Park, and we're going to be hitting Airport Hill here pretty soon. This is a nice downhill, but coming the other direction, it is steep and it will kick your butt. You got a sharp curve on the bottom here going to the right, so you don't want to get going too fast. And coming up here, we're getting ready to go underneath the railroad, and then we're going to be going over underneath the regular road. And we're getting ready to head up to Airport Hill. And the switchbacks here, to me, are a whole lot more difficult than the ones over by Eisenhower Park. And it's not because they're steep or anything. It's just this first corner, which you're going to see, is so tight. I have to actually stop, back up, and then hit it again. I cannot turn tight enough to get around it. So when you're coming down, please be kind to people who are going up. If you see somebody who is coming up, you're not required to give them the right of way, but please be kind and let them fight the hill getting up without having to worry about you. And that's true with any hill. You see somebody coming up, please be polite, be nice to that person, and allow them to get through before you go blasting through. It's easy to go down the hill. It's hard to go up. At Airport Hill here, it's good inclines the whole way. Once you get to the top, you're tired, and that sun is going to be beating down on you, and it's going to be kicking your butt. That's the worst part about this section here, is there are no trees. I don't know why they don't plant them. Maybe this is in the flight plan for the airport, so maybe that's got something to do with it. I don't know. But you're going to have the sun beating down on you. If it's windy, you're going to have the wind blasting you, and it can be rough. I skipped the top of the hill, and now we're shooting down it. This is a really nice downhill. Well, it's a nice payoff for the effort you put in to come up. But when you come around the other way, once again, it's steep, so be ready for it. And you see, I'm riding my brakes. I'm keeping myself at about 15 miles an hour. And That's one of the worst things about these trails is the speed limit. You have to go no faster than 15, and I honestly believe there's times where you should go slower than that, just for safety. To the right there, that takes you to McAllister Park, and going straight, that's going to bring us over towards Eisenhower Park and several other parks along the way. But yeah, go speed that is reasonable and it is prudent. There are lots of people sharing the trails with us, so be kind and look out for them. All right, we're coming up to Airport Road here, and this is an area where there is a stop sign, and you need to stop so that you can see what's coming around here. If you do not stop and somebody hits you, you've got nobody to blame but yourself. I hate to be callous about it, but that's what happened on 410 Access Road, and now we all pay the price for one person who wouldn't do what he's supposed to do. I know you want to get in your miles, you want to get the speed up there, you want to have fun, but just take the time and stop when you have to stop. And we got another uphill here with a bunch of curves on it. For a hand cycle, these things are really hard. Pedal bikes, you're just pedaling with your legs. It doesn't really have much of an impact, but when you pedal with your arms and you steer with your arms, it makes it kind of a challenge. And I said, it's a decent little climb. It's not too awful bad. And once you hit the summit and you go back down, it's a very short downhill, and you come to a T intersection, you're going to be turning to your left. If you go to the right, it just goes to a dead end, not too far down, and you're not going anywhere. Now, to the right of me, this is Wurzbach Parkway, and this is a section of trail. I think it's about 2 miles long, and you're following right alongside the highway. You got cars that are going, the speed limit's 60 miles an hour, so I'll let you put 2 and 2 together. This area right here, there will be lots of debris in here. I got lucky this day that it's really clean, but normally there is tons and tons of debris in there from the road. And going the way I'm going, we're heading upstream basically, and the majority of this route is uphill heading out, which is going to be slow, but coming back, you can really fly coming back. Fly being 15 miles an hour. And coming up here by waste management area, the vehicles are going to be coming out from your left, right here, and watch for them, and then coming straight at you from here, pulling into the dump. They're going to be coming off the highway, so be very, very cautious through here. Over here to the left, it's a brand new storage setup for RVs, boats, whatever. There's a couple of cut-ins here, and when you sit as low as me, you're going to be dragging your butt on a couple of spots. But when you're coming through here, just keep an eye on the gates, because you never know if somebody's going to be coming out. And keep your eye on the main road for people coming in. A lot of them are not going to yield the right of way to you. They're run your butt right over. All right, now we're coming up to a guarded intersection. When you get across to the pole, you'll see here in a moment, don't just zip right across the road if you don't see any cars. Push the button and wait for the sign to tell you it's okay to walk. Once they say it's okay to walk, that's when you go across. But I recommend you always do it this way. You wait for the light. These people in the cars and trucks, they're flying, and they will run you over in a skinny minute. We don't need to have another ghost bike here. All right, now we're going down a nice little downhill, and we're going to be going underneath Wurzbach Parkway. It is kind of low here, but most people should be fine. And as you go through here, you're going to be, if you're on an upright bike, you're going to want to be very careful. There's lots of gravel and stones that get washed out onto the trail, and they'll stay there forever. And when you're riding, if you know you got somebody behind you, call it out. When you see gravel, holler out gravel. If you see rocks, tell people there's rocks. Let folks know. Keep everybody else safe. All right, as we come through up here, there's another low water crossing. This is an area that will flood and get covered with debris. As we shoot out of that, we're going up a slight uphill. It's about a 1% grade. All right, we're coming up on, I believe this is coming up on 281. It's a nice downhill. I can imagine somebody getting up to about 40 miles an hour on this hill if they were really cranking it hard. But, you know, only 15. You can get moving down here, but when you're going back the other way, that hill again, it's brutal. And again, this is great use of the land underneath these overpasses. Why not put bike trails in there? Be careful in this area. There are big rocks off the trail. Big rocks mean big ouch. So try and keep the rubber on the road. And you see, there's lots of lanes of travel you're going underneath here. And it is very, very loud. And one of the things that you will notice out here when you're going through those underpasses, you will see a homeless population there, and you know they're just trying to stay out of the heat. So just keep it in mind. Again, another intersection. Stop. Make sure that you're safe before you proceed. And we're coming up on yet another very low water crossing area, and there is always debris on this stretch of trail. It takes a long time before they get it cleaned up. Right now you see dry mud, there's branches and all this other stuff. There's a lot of greenery that is overflowing onto the trails. Parks and Recs just has not been able to keep up with all the growth with the rain. Right in this area you can even still see some mud. Last rain we've had is about a week ago. And it gets nasty. All right, and again we're coming up on another intersection. And once again, stop, take a look, make sure that you're safe. You see the stop sign there. Make sure that there's nothing coming, and then go. And you also want to keep an eye on who's coming towards you on the trail. Their bikes can come up on you pretty quick. And up here there's going to be a sharp turn to the right, and it is a blind turn. So be ready for other cyclists coming or pedestrians. We're getting very close to the Walker Ranch, and that's a place where it's got playgrounds and there's lots of people with strollers. This underpass here, it's coming up to a blind corner going up a steep hill. This is, I'm wrong area. No, I am the right area. This is coming up to Walker Ranch. And like I said, steep hill. And as I said earlier, there's lots of families up here that bring their kids to the park. It's got a great big playground area. There's a dog park here. There's a 1 mile walking trail that goes around the park. And it's just a very beautiful scenic area, and it's in a very busy part of the city. Great barbecue place nearby called Two Brothers. I recommend it. And as I'm going up yet another hill, it seems like it's nonstop climbing through here. If you look to the left, you'll be able to see an old windmill over there. That's, you know, kind of neat to look at. A lot of people will stop and use that as a backdrop for pictures. All right, crested the hill and going down, and it's real easy to go fast, but you want to ride your brakes through here. I don't care who you are, there's a very sharp hairpin turn to the right. And if you're going too fast, you're going to go over those rocks and into the creek. And it's a good drop. And still going downhill. And once again, there's another low water crossing here. I mentioned with all the greenery and the water crossings, there is a lot of moisture in this area. And where there's moisture in a hot area, there's also lots of wild land critters. In the morning times especially, the snakes will come out onto the trail to sun themselves to warm up. Snakes are cold-blooded animals, and they cannot regulate their own body temperature. And it will look like a cow patty in the middle of the trail, or it'll look like a branch. Be careful. They could very easily be rattlesnakes or coral snakes. Coral snakes, their mouths aren't very big. They'd have a hard time biting you, but rattlesnakes, there's some big ones out here. I mean, really, really big ones. And again, we're following along power line easements, and to the right here, there's an apartment complex, and it's got this nice gate, nice fence behind it that's got a gate with a security code for them. And you know, I think it's a great thing to have for an apartment complex like this. They've got all this that they can just basically walk out into their backyard and go for a walk, go for a ride. And you always see people coming in and out of here. All right, once again, going underneath some more roads. I've honestly lost track of where I'm at, so I'm not really sure which roads that we're under. And it's a set of S curves. So, you know, again, keep your mind on people coming towards you. I just put this section in here just because it's really pretty scenery. If you look, there's a nice canopy of trees over top, lots of live oaks. And they help to keep the temperatures down on the trail. All right, we're coming underneath the bridge. We're about ready to get to Eisenhower Park. There's a sharp turn to the left with a very steep uphill. I believe this is about a 4% grade. And then it turns into a false flat where you're doing a 1 or 2% grade. And it's, by the time you get to the Vockler homestead, you're going to be pretty wore out. It's a good distance, and it's all climb. Once you get to the top of this, you don't notice visually that there's a hill, but you're on a 1 to 2 and sometimes even a 3% grade. And in this area, there's also lots and lots of walkers. You've got Eisenhower Park, which is one of the bigger parks in the area. And you've got the Vockler Homestead. And there's lots of people out here going for walks. You'll see people doing yoga classes on the weekends and holidays. Walking groups, people out walking their dogs, people training dogs. This is a very, very heavily populated area, so go slow. I know we all want to get out there and go as fast as we can and just don't even think about others, but please think of others. There's lots of people out here sharing the trail. Pedestrians have the right of way. All right, and up here we got a sharp turn. If you go to the left, you're going to Eisenhower Park. You go right, you're going towards Vockler Homestead. And then as soon as you make that right, there's another left right here by that billboard. And this is an area where there's lots of overgrowth with trees and shrubs and grasses. And there's lots of turns. Once again, this is about a 2 to 3% grade. As you can tell from this video, you can't even see that it's an uphill, but it is. And there are lots of people on this trail. You're not going to see them until you're on top of them. So go slow. I try to keep it under 10 miles an hour through here, and there's a lot of times I'm only doing 5. This is not an area where you want to rush. And of course, you know, one of the things I love out here is seeing the dogs. And there's tons of dogs on these trails being walked. And it's fun. Sometimes I'll stop and say hi to the dogs, and you know, I enjoy it. All right, and we're getting close to the Vockler Homestead. And we do have another intersection. You do not have a stop sign, but neither do the cars. So, you know, use common sense. And there's also a porta potty up here. And on this particular ride, I drank too much coffee, so I'm stopping, which I'm not going to make you watch. And when I was here, I ran into some folks with Operation Comfort. I had to say hi to them. They're heading in a different direction. They're going back the way I came, and I'm going the way they came. And as I pull up around here, we're going to be coming across what is probably the steepest hill on all the trails that I've seen. Thank God it's a very, very short one. And just going down this hill without pedaling, you can shoot up to 25 miles an hour. And it's scary how fast you can get going, especially with the amount of people who are through here. Once we get through on the other side, we're going to be crossing a bridge here, and not too far after this bridge, there's a bunch of houses on the left. They've all got their fences leading up to the trail. A lot of them have gates in their fences, and they utilize it. It's prime real estate. I'm not videoing a lot in here to show, just because giving people their privacy. There's tons and tons of people. And then if you look to the right, that's a very, very steep drop, so you don't want to go over. And take it easy. It's a rough stretch of trail anyways. You don't really want to go fast here. And coming up here, we're going to be taking a right. And this is going to lead us, the next stop will be Huebner Road. And Huebner Road is just another couple miles down. With all these different areas we've got, it really makes it seem a lot faster than it is. And there's plenty of places where you can stop and go to the bathroom, get a drink. There's lots of areas up on the trail where they've got basically repair stations, air pumps with tools. So if you got a problem with your bike, you can stop and get it fixed. There's water stations for drinking water for adults, kids, even dog ones. So there's honestly no excuse for not hydrating enough, because there's plenty of water out here. And again, as you see, we're still following power lines. And even though you can't see it, we're following along creeks. This is the Huebner Road pull-off. If you went to the left, there's a very, very tight serpentine. Even if you're on an upright bike, you'd have to get off and walk it up. And we're going underneath Huebner Road here. And from here, we got some major, it's almost nonstop climbing from here till you get to Eisenhower Park. And we're not going to go all the way past Eisenhower to going through the speed bumps to the Eisenhower Park switchbacks on this ride. We're turning around at Eisenhower. But you're almost to the very, very top of the trail here. To the right there, we just went past, that's one of those stations I was talking about with the air pumps and the tools. This area, it's relatively new. I think this is maybe about 3 or 4 year old stretch of trail. I'm drafting behind somebody right there, at least until I got the understanding that she was kind of nervous, and I went around her. And again, a woman riding a bike by herself here, and a man breathing heavy behind him. You know, that's right justice to be nervous. And we're speaking of that, I'm sure you've noticed how desolate things look. We are in the heart of a city, but there's lots and lots of woods out here, places to hide. And being in the 7th largest city in the country, where there's places to hide, there's going to be bad people. Women, please do not be out here alone, riding your bike, walking, whatever. And always, always, always at least have some pepper spray or a taser. There was a spell here a while back where there was a serial rapist that was out here in these trails. And thank God they caught him, but it was bad for quite a while. And you still hear about people getting robbed and whatnot out here. It's not something that you should be afraid of, but, be cautious, be mindful of it. There are bad people around, unfortunately. And it seems like since the pandemic, there's even more. And right there, you saw me. I was behind a pedestrian. There was a bike coming. I came almost to a complete stop, being behind the pedestrian, waiting for that bike to get clear before I passed. It's a safety thing. And if you see a bike coming and you're not going to be able to get around the pedestrian safely before the bike gets to you, stay behind the pedestrian. Stop if you have to. And the last thing you want to do is run somebody over, especially if it's a kid. All right, we're coming up on the 1604 trailhead. Again, this is another big one. There's lots of people will stop here. There's lots of apartment complexes and whatnot in the area where people will take a ride over here just to go and do their exercise. There's lots of construction going on 1604 right now. So this trail can be closed at times without notice. You see the Texas State Flower, all these orange barrels. They're there for a reason. There is lots of construction work going on. And it's throughout 1604 and I-35, just about all over the city. We got major work going on. Once you get under this, once again, another uphill. But this one's not too awful bad. This is only about a 2% grade. People on an upright bike can tackle this like it's nothing. But for everybody who does right-hand cycles knows that a 1 or 2% grade does have a big impact on your speed. But gear management will get you through the day every time. There hasn't been a hill that I found out here that I cannot conquer with proper gear management. You notice here they've got these awesome looking pavers that they install as kind of berms to shore up the soil. They really put a lot of thought into it as they were setting up these trails and designing them and building them. I mean, they're fantastic. They look nice. They had been using asphalt, which produces a whole lot of heat. They switched over to concrete, which is quite a bit cooler. And it looks nicer. It really does. They're trying to keep all the trees in they can. In the areas where there weren't a lot of trees, they're trying to plant them. Well, I'm thinking of Hardberger Park, which we've already been through. That is on either side of Wurzbach Parkway. And to connect the two, they made a great big old land bridge going across Wurzbach Parkway. And I believe it's the largest one in the U.S. And once they built it, they planted all kinds of trees and vegetation, and the deer are using it to cross, and they've caught pictures of fox and bobcats on their cameras, and the wildlife is using it and keeping themselves safe rather than crossing that highway. All right, up here, this is a nice set of S-curves, and it is a speed killer. It will bleed all your speed right off of you. And when you're coming the other way, that's actually a good thing because you're going downhill and it's real easy to get going too fast. I have to ride my brakes a lot so I stay within the speed limit. And I end up going through a set of brake pads about every 3 months. Hand cycle only has one braking surface. Whereas, the upright bikes, you got it on the front and rear. I've only got it on the front. Not complaining, not whining. That's just the way it is. Most people don't understand that. All right, this is what I call the mile hill. It's about 1 mile long, and it varies between a 3 and a 6% grade. To the right is Camp Bullis. To the left is a sand and gravel pit. And because it's so open, there's almost always a cross breeze. You notice my flag's kind of leaning to the left a little bit. If you're at a good clip and you catch one of the many gusts that come through, it can knock you on your butt. So just be ready to lean into the wind. You can tell it's been raining by all the sunflowers that are popping out. And we're coming up on Eisenhower Park here, which this is where the end of my ride's going to be. This road here, if you go to the right, it takes you to the gate to Camp Bullis. To the left takes you down towards 1604. This is a very busy road and people drive very fast on this road. So once again, stop at that stop sign. Make sure that you're safe. This particular time I've got cars coming up on me from the left. And one is actually nice enough to stop and keep me safe and tell me I could go. Gotta love that. And when I got to Eisenhower Park, I shut off the cameras real early because there's a medical situation going on with the fire department, and I didn't want to catch the person on camera. Just professional courtesy from back when I was working. But Eisenhower Park is a beautiful park. They've got lots of metal artwork. There's plenty of parking. It is just a nice little place. Good spot to start or finish your end. There's lots of good hiking trails. And it's great enjoyment. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.